The Calgary Flames have been quiet in free agency so far this summer for good reason. But the Flames could still make a sneaky signing or two via handing out some PTOs. We're going to dive into an article that shows 6 players the Flames could be looking at over the next couple of months. But before we do that, I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. Without further ado, let's hop right in and talk about some players that still have some potential left. Now, obviously, none of the players in this video are really going to be guys that are going to come in and absolutely wow us. They're just guys that we could sign, and I will preface by saying I mostly think that I wouldn't want to bring in any of these guys because it just takes a roster spot away from maybe some of the younger guys that want to come up. We really want to see more of Coronado. We want to see more of Pelche, but especially Coronado needs to solidify himself because he truly should be in the plans for the Flames of the future when we're ready to be better, competitive, maybe even contenders by the time we get the new arena. But let's hop into the aforementioned article, and it is once again from Colton Pankill. He provides so much content for us Flames fans, and I'm using a lot of it, so thank you so much, Colton. All credit in this one due to him. 6 players Flames could sign to a PTO ahead of training camp. 6 of them. We are going to look at all 6, maybe some a little more in depth than others, but let's just see the quick little first bit of the article here. Many talented players remain without a contract in place. As the days and weeks continue to pass, they will only become more desperate and will become open to the possibility of signing a professional tryout offer. Here's a list of 6 players the Flames could look to add on PTOs between now and training camp. If they're getting desperate and want to sign PTOs, I doubt Calgary would be the place for them to do it. Maybe they'd want to sign a PTO where they have a better chance of maybe contending, being on a good team, but I know maybe they'd feel they could maybe squeeze out more money here. I know it's hard under a PTO, and that's just super cheap. That's the way it works. But either way, we've seen some good players on PTOs in the past. I mean, if we remember as Flames fans, Sonny Milano came in on a PTO, had the preseason of dreams, and then we let him go, and he started to light it up a bit. I think it was over in Washington, wasn't it? But either way, that didn't amount to much. It's pretty funny. But let's get into the first one here, and it's kind of a shocking one. It is Kailer Yamamoto. He's still only 25 years old. He's a right winger. There's some of his stats. He was on the Kraken last season, but of course was previously on the Edmonton Oilers before that. Though his past 2 seasons haven't been great, Kailer Yamamoto has shown the ability to produce offense at the NHL level. The 25-year-old managed 26 points in 27 games with the Oilers during the 2019-20 season and scored 20 goals in 2021-22. So while his stats from the past couple years might not be all that fantastic, he's proven in the past when he was even younger that he is pretty good. Let's take a dive into some of his numbers from last year a little bit closer. So in 59 games, he had the 8 goals and 8 assists for just 16 points on a Kraken team that really did disappoint. He was a -9, was only getting about 12 minutes of ice time. So once again, you know, in Edmonton, he wasn't given the right opportunity just because there are so many better players above him in the lineup. Seattle was supposed to be more of a breakthrough, but he still wasn't getting any ice time. So very interesting there. He will be 26 by the time next season rolls around. But either way, he's a player with some potential. And what's the harm in signing him into a PTO, even if you don't actually end up signing him to be part of the real team? That is totally okay. I guess this one's worth taking a look at. Again, I'll just say I wouldn't really put any of the guys in this video above anyone in our current system unless we really want the young guys to develop at the AHL or even in minor hockey as well. But either way, very interesting here. Yamamoto, there's a chance. I'm not thrilled by it, but I don't hate it either. Let's get into the next one, which is Tyson Barrie, a man we haven't spoke about on the channel in a long time. It's been since, the Hanifin trade rumors pretty much that Barrie's been rolling around, but he's older, 32. As we know, he's a defenseman this past season. Not the worst statistical numbers in terms of offensive production. It's somewhat puzzling that Barrie hasn't signed a contract yet. Yes, he is coming off a tough season with the Predators. You know, he couldn't really find games all that much, only played half the season. But he's a defenseman who has proven to be a great asset on the power play throughout his 809-game career. We've seen that in the past on the Avalanche. That's probably where he was the best, even though the Avs got better once he left. We've seen it in Toronto a little bit, in Edmonton a little bit. I know there's other teams that can be added to that list. But either way, we know what he's about. It would be interesting. I personally am going to say no to this one right away. But what's the harm in signing him to a PTO? Let's once again do a quick little dive into his numbers from last season with the Nashville Predators. So the 1 goal, 14 assists for 15 points in the 41 games. A -10 on a Nashville team that really started to heat up towards the end of the year and had a decent little first round playoffs. But either way, we know what he's all about. If that graphic is correct, today would be his 33rd birthday. I mean, happy birthday, Tyson Barrie. But either way, I don't know. He's really on the decline of his career. You know, he's a nice guy, but is that enough to sign him to a PTO? I'm not totally sure. I can't say I absolutely love this one. But again, can't hate it. What's the harm in signing him to a PTO? It's all right. Barrie, take it or leave it. I'm going to leave it. Let's get into the last one of some guys who might still somewhat have some potential, and that's Alex Nylander. This is a guy who we've spoken about somewhat recently on the channel, so I'm not going to go fully in. You can check out an older video to kind of get a grasp on Nylander. But either way, he is, of course, the brother of Willie and the worst brother of Willie. Sorry, Alex. But he's 26 now. He's pretty much just a forward, and he played last season with the Blue Jackets. There's a spoiler like Zadina. He will be in this video later, and he was on the thumbnail, so you kind of probably saw it coming. But either way, Nylander has failed to live up to his draft position. The 26-year-old was selected 8th overall in 2016, but has logged just 121 games at the NHL level, and that's with a few teams now. That said, it's a bit surprising to see that Nylander hasn't received a contract given how well he performed in a short stint to close out the 2023-24 season with the Blue Jackets. Should he remain unsigned, he's a player that would make sense for the Flames to bring in on a PTO. He's born in Calgary kind of thing. It does make sense. He really did show last season that he could kind of come along. As you can see the stats there, in 23 games, he had 11 goals, 4 assists for 15 points. 11 goals, a goal every other game is not bad for a guy who really still hasn't totally gone out, but he still has a bit of potential, a lot more than Barrie does. Barrie has potential to be on the NHL roster pretty much. That's why he falls under this chapter of this video. But either way, Nylander, again, this one I kind of like the most out of these three. It's interesting, very interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you think of maybe bringing in Nylander or any of those other guys that we have mentioned so far. But we're going to get into the final three, the next three. So let's talk about a shiver of sharks. And yes, that is what a group of sharks is really called. I had to Google that in order to make the chapter of this video, and I was pleasantly surprised. I would have guessed like pod or something for dolphins. I don't know. I'm clearly not big into animals. Well, I kind of would like to be. I've got this right here, the encyclopedia from National Geographic. Clearly, I should have looked at that a little more before doing this. But either way, we're not talking about sharks in the ocean. We're talking about the Sharks of San Jose. So let's get into the first one. You've already seen his name. It is Filip Zadina. Still just 24 years old as a winger. So Zadina's career has been far more disappointing than anyone had imagined to this point. The 6th overall selection from 2018 hasn't lived up to his draft day potential whatsoever, managing just 41 goals and 91 points through 262 games. Really not as good as people thought he would be. He's one of the classic, look, he was totally under the radar, then had an amazing World Junior Hockey tournament, and all of a sudden he was so highly touted, and it just really hasn't worked out. I believe he was drafted originally by Detroit, wasn't given the greatest opportunity there, and really didn't produce anything. Now he's on San Jose, and now he could be finding another home. He did start to play quite a bit better for the Sharks towards the end of last year. That's the stats there are, trust me, they're inflated by the end of last year. Didn't he get a hat trick against the Flames? Am I tripping if I say that he got a hat trick against Dustin Wolf? Maybe I'm tripping on that one. But either way, Zadina, we know what he's about. There is potential for him for sure if we take a closer look at some of his stats from last season. So in 72 games, he had just 13 goals and 10 assists for 23 points. That is on the San Jose Sharks, though, who were by far the worst team in the NHL. But the one glaring number here is the minus 44. Again, that's because he was on the San Jose Sharks, but still, that's quite concerning for any player. You put McDavid on that Sharks team, he would not have been a minus 44. Did I just compare Zadina to McDavid? I might have, but either way, the stats extremely underwhelming. A Corsi for percentage well under 50% is somewhat alarming as well. It's worth signing him to a PTO, but I could not see him, cracking the actual Flames lineup and making the team out of training camp. But I guess it's worth a shot. I mean, why not, really? But I'm going to say no to this one. Let's get into the next one, which is Kevin Labanc, the 28-year-old, also a winger who has been playing for the Sharks over the past few years as well. There is no denying that Kevin Labanc is an extremely frustrating player due to his inconsistencies, but he's also quite skilled. The 28-year-old is coming off a horrendous 2023-24 season, but managed a respectable 15 goals and 33 points in 72 games the year prior. That's still really bad. Kevin Labanc, at one point, Kelly Rudy, our beloved Kelly Rudy of the Sportsnet hockey TV broadcasts, once said that Kevin Labanc has the best shot in the NHL. And at the time, I thought that was a ridiculous statement. Now we know that that was absolutely blasphemous for him to say that. But Kevin Labanc, he's a man who, he's not going to make a difference in any games, and he's kind of proven that over the past couple seasons. I mean, you see the stats there. I'm not going to bring up the big graphic because the stats are really horrendous. And I mean, 46 games with the San Jose Sharks last year. I think pretty much anyone else could have been doing something better with their time. But either way, Labanc, no. I'm saying an absolute no to this one. Don't even try the PTO with Big Kev here. But let's get into the last one. Who is it? Oh, it's another Shark. It's Alexander Barabanov. Another guy who, again, his stats suck, but he was a little bit better towards the end of the season with the Sharks. He's 30 years old now. I can't believe that. If you had asked me before I started researching for this video, if you had asked me how old is Barabanov, I would have said 24. 30 already. Oh my goodness. Well, either way, let's see what the article says. Yes, I know former Sharks players are dominating this list, and Alexander Barabanov, like Labanc, is coming off a horrendous season. That was the case for almost everyone in San Jose, however, as the team finished with a league worst 19-54-9 record. Yes, they sucked. They're going to suck again this year, but either way, we'll just have to see. Let's get into his pure stats from last season and just really show why it's a no-no. 4 goals, 9 assists for 13 points in 46 games. Absolutely terrible. A minus 24. It's just no. This one's a no. He's too old, and if he sucks on the Sharks, he's probably going to suck on the Flames. There's no reason to hand this guy a PTO. I don't like it at all. I'm going to say no to all the Sharks of this chapter of the video. The Shiver of Sharks, I'm going to say no to all of them. I don't know if there's any Sharks other than Celebrini and maybe, what's the other? Will Smith, is it? Yeah, I'd take them, but I don't know about anyone else. Let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, as we love to do. And this one once again has to do with the new arena and maybe some nicknames being thrown around. And I like this one here from user Joseph. He said, call it the Hot Pot. There's so many names going around. I know the Cauldron, the Fire Pit, the Fireplace. There's many, many more. They get more and more cringe as the days go by. The Hot Pot. Hey, buddy, you want to go down to the Hot Pot to watch the Flames game? I can already hear that walking downtown in Calgary. But either way, I don't hate it. I don't love it, to be honest, but I just like all the nicknames that are stemming out of this new arena because no one is going to call it Scotia Place. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you like what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.